Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is SCC, and tonight we're looking at the games from Saturday night and from the Saturday, as we saw some interesting scores from some not so interesting games on the most part, except for this first game by the looks, where Hawthorn and St Kilda played off in a bit of a nail biter by the looks, and yeah, I really saw none of this game, to be honest. I saw I didn't actually see anything. I turned on to watch Essendon GWS by the time I got home, and saw the awards being given, Carl Amon and Marshall winning those respectively for each team. And yeah, you can see on Marshall's face, they were pretty livid with themselves for losing this game. So I didn't really get to see anything, so I can't really say too much about what happened. But yeah, probably a bit of a shock to see the Hawks beat the Saints, although not necessarily the biggest shot, but still one that you would have thought the Saints would have been able to win pretty handily. But looks like Hawks got the chocolates. And looking into the Supercoach scores, because that's why you're here, we're looking at Lloyd Meek as a relevant player, and he's gone 125, which is actually out of all the rucks this week, and as you'll see a few coming up, is really good. So I'm really happy to have that score. He was looking really good all throughout this game, because I was following the scores pretty closely. 46 hit out, so was dominant in there again. Really backed it up with some good tackles. Got his 12 disposals, which seems to be his norm, and it's really the efficiency that's helped him this week, because he kicked another goal. Just seems to always pop up for a goal somehow, old Meek, and yeah, 83% efficiency pushed him up to that 120 mark. I mean, Newcomb, I don't think anyone really has, but if you do, you'd be happy with the 136. I think he was one that we all kind of thought that might start and didn't. That we thought would be good, and some started, I should say, not most, and hasn't really taken it on. But yeah, going down here, I guess the other interesting ones, Will Day, where was this last year when I went against you? The low 89s, 90s, where instead you played in defense and would always get up to 100 somehow, but not so relevant this year. Dylan Moore would be one that a few people brought in. This was what I was kind of a little bit worried about, because yeah, he did play really well in that last quarter against the Dogs, but yeah, the heat maps and the CBAs really showed that he wasn't necessarily playing a lot of mid, and it looks like today's game, and that's what happened. I mean, he kicked 2 goals, which is great, 14 disposals, but it is the goals that are going to have to get him up there. But as we say, he is a forward, so 76 is actually not too bad. I can't really say much when I'm going to take it from Rankin. You know, the 80, 90s that Rankin's been putting up pretty often, whereas Moore's gone, 76 this week, but 130 last week. So, can't complain with that really. Like, as a forward score, not too bad. Although one that some people probably traded out this week did have a little bit of a bounce back, but we'll get to him later. Moving down this though, if you have Watson, he had a pretty decent game, but I don't think many have him as a rookie still. And D'Ambrosio, where was this at the start of the year in that first game where you were going absolutely ham, and really forcing me to bring you in, and putting me behind the 8 ball, but he's dropped off as well, and it looks like Deer, who could have been a rookie opportunity, got subbed off. Not really sure, just looks like it was a tactical sub by the looks, so no injury there, so not really one you're probably wanting to look for though. And then moving on to St Kilda, Marshall, man, if you traded out Marshall last week, I think he's averaged 130 since. Didn't he go like 110 last week, 164 this week? Like, crazy scoring. Can really hurt those that got rid of him. 164, didn't get to see it, but you'd imagine he looked pretty good. I think 164 DT shows that he's gone absolutely massive. 28 disposals, 11 tackles, 35 hitouts, and then he had 23 contested possessions. And I heard that was actually a St Kilda record for contested possessions. So 12 clearances to add. imagine if this efficiency wasn't 50%, he's probably going an easy 200. Even looking at this now, you go, Jesus, this is not, looks like it should be better, but I guess the efficiency let him down. Because Supercoach does love contested possession. So Jack Steele also punishing those who traded him out. So that would be frustrating as well, because he looked like he was injured and not moving well, and now he's back to going well again. So I don't know what to say about Jack Steele, really, because some weeks he looks bad, some weeks he looks good, and this week he looked good. I know it's against Hawthorn, but I'm pretty sure the Saints get him again at some point as well. So I don't know. I don't know whether I want to jump on Steele at some point. I'd have to look at it. I think his ownership's still 24%. So, most people still do have him. Marshall's is 6. So I think everyone jumped off him, which after his scores he was putting up is probably, not the worst. But the worst part is if you traded him the English, you've lost 80 points pretty much. I think that's probably what the difference is tonight, which is what people went last week. So yeah, not a great one for people who traded out Marshall. And then Wayne Emilio, 113, very happy. Anything over 110, 100, I'm happy with Wayne Emilio, so that's good. Bono, 108. He got a lot of DT, so I'm actually surprised this is such a low Supercoach score. 30 disposals, 11 marks, 3 tackles, 694 metres gained, and he's got 86% efficiency. This seems like it should be higher. I don't know, maybe. Well, let's have a look at this compared to Nas. 23, 24, 6, 6, 10, 11, 2, 2, 2 to 3, no free kicks, a lot more metres gained, contested possessions about the same, and he's got better efficiency yet lower. I don't know. Maybe it was during the time of the game when it was less useful. But this seems to be in a close game the whole time. So I don't know. One of those ones that seems like a conundrum on the face of it, but I'm sure there's a reason why. Maybe Wayne Emilio is getting a lot of cut-off kicks. I can't say because I didn't watch the game. Wilson, great. We're very happy with Wilson's score, 90. Had him on field, decided to just go with him because he seems to have this change role that's actually working really well for him, and he delivered, so that's great. Sinclair, drop-off game compared to last week. Windhager, not great, and same with Hill. Hugo Garcia, 65, so that's good. He'll still make some money, which is great, and it doesn't look like he's, of the worst. Wasn't subbed or anything like that, so that's good. Liam Henry, a rough one back. And not really much else to talk here. Jack Hayes, so he was one that I was kind of thinking about, had plans to trade him in, and looks like he's going back out of that, subbed out. Pretty horror game, brings him down to what, 70 average, because he went 120 last week, which isn't bad, but the 100's going to roll out of his score pretty quick, and then he's going to have a 20, so and he's 200k. It's not like he's a 120k player, so probably a skip, because we've seen what's happening with Cobman, although Cobman has also bounced back this week. But yeah, I think there's probably going to be some other options, and we'll talk about them a bit later. Going over to this Bombers Giants game. So when I left, I really thought the Giants had this under control, but the Bombers just seem to never give, and maybe they can finally break the hoodoo and win the final this year, or win a final this year. That would be good for Bombers supporters who haven't had much to cheer about over the past few years. Now moving on to the Supercoach scores. So Redmond played a really good game, was cleaning up everything by the looks, kicked the goal, which is nice. 80% efficiency, you love that. Hind and Langford are having big games, not really ones we're looking at. Merritt was able to, I'd say the yin and yang symbol was a very good symbol for him. Seems to be a tale of two halves for him. He had a very slow start, but always pushes through and brings it back, and got to a 101. Efficiency really let him down here. 24 disposals. One of those ones that probably could have been lower, but was probably pretty instrumental in the comeback, even if his usage was 58%. McGrath was getting a lot of the kickouts, which I think affected Martin a bit. Martin, really, really good dream team score. Just the usage was pretty off. Although 31 disposals, 10 marks, yeah, one of those ones that kind of confuses you a little bit because, like, his efficiency, look at the merit, like, it is still pretty good. I guess the contested disposals aren't there, but an 83 seems a little bit harsh. Like, the kick to handball ratio is really good. The marks are good. I know there's different ratings, and, like, I didn't see all of his disposals, so maybe he was kicking backwards a bit, which doesn't score very well. But I don't know. Looking at the face of the numbers, seems like it's at least at like 100. But I guess we'll have to take an 83, us Martin owners, and we can't complain too much. I think he would have been affected in the second half when it got closer and the Bombers started to take over, because I feel like there was less ball back there. But still, 31 disposals makes you think he did, he was still a bit of a part of it. So 5 clangers probably doesn't help. But we move on. Hopefully he bounces back to those 120s next week. Parrish, bad game. This is kind of one of the things that I was worried about with him because he obviously had the 2 good games the past 2 weeks, and then he's dropped a bit of a average game. What's it got to say about him? Did he deal with a niggle or anything? Just fitness, they reckon. So I actually thought he looked really good against the Eagles, like he was pushing pretty hard. So maybe recovery wasn't great, but kind of glad I didn't go here after this score. And, thinking about his injuries over the years, I was just like, you know what, let's just pass this one up. And I think there's been a bit of a flavour of these lower price plays a little bit. As far as Essendon goes, not much else interesting here. Tom Green, great game from him. We love that. Love that he was able to get over the injury. But this is, confusion. Because 18 contested possessions, 7 clearances, 70% efficiency. So, a lot better on all areas and still only 116. I know it's the handball kick ratio probably. But I feel like, I don't know, scores are weird. I don't like to talk about it too much, to be honest. But when you look at it statistically, you go, 18 contested disposals, efficiency still 70%. You're thinking, surely this is worth a 120, 130. I know it's still 116, which is great, but this is 34 disposals, with over half contested with 7 clearances. I don't know, it just feels like it's better than a 116, but maybe a lot of that was in the first half. Whitfield. So this is pretty interesting from Whitfield because normally his DT to SC ratio is totally the other way around because he absolutely burns it. But 94% efficiency really saved his game. The meters gained isn't great, which is probably what affected his score a little bit more. But this is one of those weird things, isn't it? So we're saying that 18 disposals, 6 tackles, 13 less contested possessions, 6 less clearances, obviously less burning of the ball, but 94% efficiency compared to 70, and we're still, only 16 points difference. So I don't know. One of those ones where I go, if you're going to say handball kick ratio, he only had 3 more kicks, and then he had 19 less handballs. So I don't know. Just strange sometimes how these work out, but obviously that, as they say, as champion data say, there is a bit of personal preference. So, well, not personal preference, but they use a bit of their own decision making to decide how points are awarded. Cogs, good game back. Don't think anyone's really interested in him. Kelly, bit of a down game. 21 disposals, 15 handballs, and made 96, 10 contested possessions, 1 clearance, a little bit better efficiency, which is what got him there. Going down here, Haynes is still 400k, so we don't really want to look at him. The one that's interesting here, if you had Himmelberg, you'd be very flat, especially in your drafts. Darcy Jones had a pretty average game, 38. Even the goal he got was from a push in the bat to Green that went downfield to him in the square as the closest person to the ball. So without that, this could have been very bleak, and that's worrying because I brought him in, and he didn't have the best game. But at the same time, he wasn't the one who was subbed. So hopefully we just put this down to like a bad game. It looks like a lot of the GWS players struggled this week. As we said, and looking at the injury list, it didn't look like GWS had much missing. So we just have to put it down to just one of those weeks. All right. Now, this is actually the game that ended first, so we'll go with this. Gold Coast North. So this was the game I didn't watch. My dad was over. He's a big Richmond supporter, so we watched that, which was bleak. But we decided to watch it, and he sat through it. So good on him for sticking through what that was. But Gold Coast North. So I'll just talk on the scoring a bit. Really happy with Toot because he's the one we chose out of the two, and this is what I kind of said. Miller always seems to be like the one that's a little bit more consistent, whereas Anderson especially can have these look down games, and Rao hasn't been able to put it together for a full season yet, and he's pulling back to that mean. So Took, great job, always puts his body on the line, always tries his hardest, and 29 disposals really does it for us. So that is really good. Mac Andrew, great bounce back for those who have him. I know he had a bit of a rough week the week before. 119 is brilliant for you. Hopefully get some cash moving. Bodie Uland. Now, I'm not sure what he's worth, but I thought he was like close-ish to rookie price. So if people have him, they'd be pretty happy. Flanders, another good game. Really good handball to kick ratio here. Still seems to have that back line role, which is great. Closey has bounced back to his best. 2 early goals really helped. And I'm really glad that I played him on field over because I had the Garcia score looped. Sorry, I had the Garcia score looped, and I was choosing out of him and Closey, and decided that let's just go with Closey because a lot of the league still has him, and might as well just go with him on field because the 65 was very beatable, and Closey smashed it. So that's brilliant for us. 105 on field. Get that money going again, and probably saved himself a couple more weeks in the team. And we've got Wits. Don't know if anyone's really picked him as a rock. Real, so yeah, Real 83, Anderson 70. So 2 down games in a row for Real, and one extra down game for Anderson because he's had a few this year, but he was all right last week. Thomas Berry 64, not sure how many have him. Rogers, bit of a bounce back this 64. Glad because the 20 was pretty bleak and probably saves him from getting dropped, we hope. Really hope Graham gets back into this team because I'm a bit confused as to why he was one that was decided to be dropped. Maybe they weren't happy with his effort. Those who held on to Sexton were rewarded with an 82, although the couple other rookies that were on field probably did, well, I think have done better or just about the same in Wilson and then Darcy, who we'll talk about in a minute. And yeah, Rogers 64, and not much else there on the Gold Coast side. On the Brisbane North side, just a day out for Fisher. I'm not sure how many people have him, but if you do have him in the forward line, you'd be very happy. Looks like he's back to that sharking role in their back line, which I don't love because give it back to McKercher. That's McKercher's role. That's Sheasel's role. I don't know, I feel like Fisher's the kind of guy who really is a trademark of what North Melbourne trade in, which is a guy that another team goes isn't good enough and North just go, all right, we'll take him. I know he played really well by these numbers tonight, but I just feel like it's not always there for him. LDU might be finding a little bit of form, so maybe he's a target soon because he's low 500s. I have to look at their run actually because I don't really know much about North's run coming up, but I don't know. Do I want LDU? 35 disposals seems pretty good. The efficiency's not great. We'll see what his price is at. Maybe watch him another week. Comben 98, so finally getting some scores on the board for the people who brought him in. Only problem I can see is that not many would have put him on the field. So he must have had the cutout marking role a little bit, not having to play so much of a lockdown because he's only had 13 disposals here for this 98. So he must have been pretty big with the marking. McKercher 91, so he got himself the 30 disposals still, so he's still playing the back line. Nice meters gain. Looks like the efficiency is what's let him down here. Sheasel's a troubling one, although everyone has him. I don't know if people are going to want to flip him. I'm probably on the thing of just keeping him because everyone has him, and he's probably not the biggest issue that people have. Jerry, bit of a down game, probably one that you could look to maybe move on, although in the ruck line it's just an absolute mess. So, and Jerry's still not the worst ruck this week, I don't think. Who was worse? There was someone worse than Sherry, I think. I don't know, but it's not. It's like 80's not amazing, but it's also not the worst. So probably just stick with it. Because I really don't think anyone else has really thrown themselves out there and put himself out there to do it. The R2, I think, is pretty open still. Power, so 77. So I'm hoping he was not back in the midfield because that will piss me off. It's kind of pissed me off he's going for a 77, to be honest. Because I guess it might be like, was 79 last week? I don't know. But it's kind of annoyed me because, you have him in there for those 40s and then you get him out because you don't have issues elsewhere, and then people get to keep him because they have issues elsewhere and he goes all right. So I guess like the guys I had on field did go better. So, and like the person I was looking to trade him out for was Darcy. So it is a net point positive, but it's kind of annoying that he still got 25 disposals, and this looks like he did have a midfield role, even though they brought Phillips back in, who didn't play very well by the looks. Hardiman 46, so I think he was on the bubble this week anyway, and glad I got rid of Lazaro because they are dogging him with the sub instead of Phillips. So, that's all about to say with that. And on to the last game. And, we can start on the Richmond side because there's not much to talk about. They were pretty dismal, to be honest. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good. They looked like deers in headlights. They looked like they couldn't get anywhere. This is the game I watched fully. So absolute flogging. But I had to watch Bond as my captain. But yeah, this was like, I don't know what Richmond's going to do. I feel like they need to get rid of Trey Martin. I think Baker's gone. I think that they need to really think about the rest of the age profile of this team and get this rebuild done earlier rather than later, because this is painful. Get rid of Prestia, maybe move Nankon and look to build up a ruck. And I know they don't want to. Maybe keep Nank just because it's a bit of and like, Nank does work hard, so that's something as well. And, he's captain, so it's a bit of leadership and all that. But I don't know, there's just a lot of guys who look like they were all out of sorts. Their back line, like, it's just like the Bulldogs were walking goals in, which is rough to watch. Like, Richmond was so good years ago, but it looks like they're totally the opposite now. And then also, like, who got knocked out? Sam Banks got knocked out, which was due to Bolter pushing English into him and tunneling him. And I hope Banks is all right. And it's really like sad to see or hear fans screaming at players that they're disgraces or whatever they are, whatever he said. You could hear it on the TV because while they're trying to console a guy who's just been knocked out. Like, let's leave that. Richmond supporters, be a bit classier than that, especially considering like this team did win 3 premierships within 4 years, a couple of, only 2 or 3 years ago. Like, the memory's pretty short. And they are in this transition period of like, players have moved on. Dusty's not what he was. You don't have Koch anymore. And, Koch really moved out when it was probably time to go. And I think like there's some guys here that they need to move on and get some of these other players in and playing footy and get the development into them. Looking at the Supercoach scoring, none of them even tops 90. That just shows how badly they played. It was bad. Short was delivering off the back line a bit. Same with Rioli. Vlosten, I felt bad for him. He just kept getting moved on these big forwards that he really couldn't cover. Like they rested Grimes this week. I understand he's older, but these guys are big. Why wasn't Bolter playing the back line either? I don't know. Like I just don't see the point of having him in the forward line when you've got three big defenders that Vlosten's playing totally outsized on. Seemed a bit weird to me. Tom Brown, 76. Like I'm pretty happy with that considering how badly the Tigers played in this game. And I had him on the bench because I was always playing McKercher. He's going to still make cash and should keep playing because, they're just going to play these young guys. But it was so hard to watch. Bolton just kicked some late goals that didn't really mean anything. They kept talking about on the commentary how much he'd responded. Like, yeah, Richmond still nearly lost by 100 points. So I don't think it's time to talk about how players have responded in that manner. I just thought, Martin, move him on to Dimmer. Like, they probably should have done it a couple of years ago when there was some value there. Martin's obviously a legend of the Richmond Football Club, but if he wants to be there, it's hard to say no, but you got to say at some point, we need to do what's best for the team. And Darcy's actually useful on a team that's got a midfield. I think that they tried to do a little bit too much with him, and like he's not the same guy he was. And I think he's great as a one out, forward, and he could have a few more years left in him if he's allowed to do that. But they kind of want him to push up a little bit, and I don't think he's that player anymore. I think he could play deep in the forward line and one out and kick quite a few goals and would be actually really good on the Gold Coast team. But I just don't think it's like Richmond's profile of a player anymore. He needs good entry, and he needs other forwards that can take the heat off him a little bit, and I think it would just be best for both teams, for both sides, him leaving and for the Tigers as well. Sonsi had a down game. I mean, most of Richmond did. Sadly, Graham's done a quad, I think. Yeah, Banks knocked out. Rioli, bad knee. Looked like it got twisted in there. And yeah, from that point of view, not really much else to speak. I like Lafau. It's just hard for him in this forward line and trying to do anything. Going to the Bulldogs, so Richards just started off really well and never really stopped. I think from what I could see, this is what I saw. Bont had Pickett on him, and Pickett was playing a real don't look at the play ball, just try and keep the player off it, which slowed Bont to start with. Also a bit of the forward shenanigans from Bevo, but like the first goal of the game to Bont and then an early one in the third really kept his score ticking along for my captain, which was great. Treloar, he was in the Magnets sign is definitely correct. Everything seemed to just go out to him in the contest. Harms was just running really well. When you kick 4 goals, you'd be feeling pretty confident. He hadn't kicked a goal for the Dogs till tonight, and really showed in the way he played because he was playing very comfortably and getting around the field really well. And the score reflects it. I don't think Bont actually, Bont, 32 disposals, 2 goals, brilliant game. But I don't even think he was trying that hard. I think, when he had to, the ball was around him, he was putting it in, but it's not like he was really working for it over the ground because he didn't need to. But 10 clearances, 19 contested possessions. If the efficiency was better, this score would be easily 150, especially considering the 2 goals. And yeah, just another classic Font versus Richmond game, and that's why I was pretty high on captaining him, and especially in the last half. Like a lot of these proposals would have come in the last half where it was a little bit more dead. But we're still very happy with the 135, even though it's not the Sarong 150. Still happy with the 135. So Darcy, only had. Well, we ended up with 14 and 7 marks, and they were good marks. A lot of these very contested marks. Kicked 4 goals, got a 50 that helped him get there. 100% efficiency. Very, very happy to have kept him because the break even was there. He was kind of on the trade table this week. It was him, Meek, and Power. And in the end, I went Power, which gave me 50 points to Meek and 40 points to Darcy. So very happy. And it looks like he's forcing himself in. And this is what I kind of thought. I actually went Darcy's 208 centimeters. I don't know who from Richmond's going to be able to defend him. I saw Bolter come in and then I was like, this might be not that great. But I was like, you know what? He might still be able to get some ball with how Richmond plays. And they didn't put Bolter back. So Darcy was just towering up there. And it was just hard. Vlossen couldn't really get to the ball without a jump and he wasn't being given the jump. So, just was made for Darcy. So Dale 103, he still had a lot of the ball, 24 kicks to 6 handballs. That's a ratio you dream of in a player. And with Richards playing so good in the midfield, I don't see Dale's role changing much anytime soon. And we're going to have a lot of defenders because there seems to be where the value is at the moment. English, so this is probably a weird one for English. I don't think I've ever seen him have such a low SC to Dream Team score. Normally it's the other way around. He normally scales really well, but obviously tonight in a game that didn't matter as much, missing a couple of goals. Even his free kicks are good to him. Just not much meters gained, I guess. And 31 hit outs is probably pretty high for English as well. Just looking at it though, 713 meters gained from Dale, just crazy stuff there. McRae, man, this could have probably been better. He missed a pretty easy goal, missed some kicks. It was pretty interesting for McRae, but you'll take an 86 in your forward line every day of the week. Garcia, for those who have him, would be very happy. An 84, great for his price. Going forward, Frazier, so he actually didn't look too bad. Took some kicks he maybe shouldn't have, but that's always what happens in the first game. It's good to see that he's not, he's confident to take the kicks, I should say. And then, from a Supercoach perspective, not much else to talk about. I think Cleary sub played all right, but this game was a total walkover for the Dogs and a bit worried for the Tigers, to be honest. I think that I was trying to look to see who's got the Tigers twice. Everyone who's got him twice has played them once already, it looks like, except for maybe one team. I can't remember who it was. I think it's Port Adelaide have them, St Kilda have them again, Gold Coast have them again, and then I can't remember the two others. But if they do have them again, Bombers I think have them. Oh no, it's Carlton have them again, and then someone else. So if you've got, it feels like Richmond are the West Coast / even North still of last year at the moment, especially for mids. Seem like they're going to be very good for mids to score on. So I think we need to keep that in mind when picking players going forward. So that was a real long summary, especially considering I didn't watch a lot of the games. But we got through some good stuff and some good scores. So going back to the team, we are currently on track for 2499. And this could be a lot better because if I didn't have this bloody Hewitt 39, look at the midfield, all 100 plus except for Hewitt, which is annoying. Meeks scored better than Gawn and better than all the rucks except Marshall, who no one really has anyway. By a bit as well, I think Grundy was 20 points less, and I think he was the closest. Catcher 91, great. I've got the rookies right this week, which is good. Wilson 90, Darcy 113. That's great. A little bit worried about some of the money on the bench, I guess. It's only Jones who's really gone bad, but I hope Graham gets a game again. And then what we got tomorrow is Reed, Rankin, Dawson. So hopefully some big games. And McGovern. If we can get hundreds from all of them, that would be brilliant. But this could have been 2,600 this week if Hewitt just had not been sub. But didn't really work out that way. So that's just something we have to deal with the next week. So I'm thinking that he'll probably be the one that I trade or look at trading out next week. Probably the plan, because he's going to lose money. He's probably going to be like 450, which sucks. Maybe 470. Probably 450. What's he priced at? Let's have a look. So probably 470, 480. So I'll probably trade him, but I don't know what rookie I'm going to trade, which is the hard part, because the plan was to trade Meek and Darcy, but Darcy's got more weeks on him now. Wilson's still going to make money. These still going to make money. Even Brown's probably making money. So I'm in a bit of a pickle where it's I want to keep upgrading, but I don't know how I'm going to upgrade. So whether it means that I'm going to have to trade, say, a what's it called? Player early might be something to consider. It might even be that I'm going to have to trade like Reed, which I wouldn't necessarily want to do, but if he chucks another bad game, he will stop making money, and I might as well do it. The problem is I would have to pick a forward, because once you take him out, he is a very popular player. So that kind of gives you safety if he scores badly, because, you know, how many people have him? 80% have him with what? 97% on field. So even if he has a bad game, like everyone has him, and most have him on field. So, you know, over 75% of the competition have him on field. So if you get rid of him, you're really anti-potting. And in a forward line that's not great, even if Reed goes an 80, that's better than a lot of things. And I just don't know who else can go in there. I feel like I've got a lot of good forwards. It might depend on Zorko, which I don't want to do. I don't really know what I want to do. It's hard. Let's have a look. Is Fisher a trade back in? I might have to watch that game and see what happened. Like, let's have a look at these scores. Harms, you're not going to think about. Norton's not going to do this every week. Hind, look what he's been. Like, he's lost 160k. And actually, the thing is with Hind, if he's starting to get a full game, maybe, but we'd have to look at his tog and see if it had been like, you know, half games he was playing. Then it was at Neil Bullen, like 68 the week before. Hind didn't play the week before. Langford possibly, because Essendon playing so well, but I don't trust that. I don't mind Caldwell, but even he had a 58 the week before. Like, who do we put in? Actually, I could go Jackson. And the reason I go Jackson is just because he's a forward. So I don't mind making that trade. McRae actually could come good. So probably they're the two I'd look at. Sorry, when I say forward, he's a rock. So at least I get some little bit of rock coverage later on in the season. But I just don't know where we find value at the moment, because Moore's dropped, you know, Moore's a 76. Like, I guess I'd just be raring Jackson's like 89, but even then that's not great. The only good thing about McRae is maybe the Dogs don't change much, but I just don't like. It is so hard to pick this forward line, and we can't just sit on rookies the whole time. So maybe we need to get some DPP changes or something. Like, I just don't know. What do? We need like Myers to get midfield time. Literally, like, these two are looking like the best. Let's look at average. Like, Hayes is like a bloody second game. A 3-round average is looking at like Zorko. So like, look at these 3-rounders. So then Moores is dropping off from those weeks. Hayes, Waterman's injured. Norton, okay, possibly, but he's 83 for the year. Caldwell probably is the one because he's going up. I'd actually have to look at his CBAs, but then he's like injury prone. He always seems to have an injury. I don't know. Mackay, I don't mind, but if it's going to start raining more, probably not. McRae's only in 7% of teams. So a lot of people are just running these 3 rookies and then just upgrading everywhere else. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to be like I'm looping off the bench, but I don't love that either. So I don't know. I'm in a pickle. I feel like we're all in a pickle. So We'll leave this and think about it. But Cameron's probably missing a game, and it could be more because he was concussed, and I don't know. I do not know. So I was thinking about Fife before, but now look at this, 60 in a sub game. Jesus, he's losing money again. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna be struggling. I feel like Wilson and bloody Darcy nearly holds. Jesus Christ, I don't love that. I'm pretty happy to have Rankin, to be honest. Am I going to be training Power back in? That would be yuck. I don't even know. I'm not training Power in. Not at all. I'd rather just antipod that unless he starts getting midfield time. I don't know. We're all going to have Fisher back. Jesus Christ. I don't know. Anyway, this is a long-winded way of saying, oh my God, don't know what to do. So what are we hoping for the rest of this? I'm hoping that I was looking at the captaincies, and I'm hoping that Dacos has an off game because everyone has him. And if he has a bad captain score, that really helps us out. Bond getting a 130 means it's, if he goes 120, it's not, or 150, it's not bad at least. 76% ownership, 23% are on him for captain. So let's pray West Coast put some time into old Dakes, but I don't see it happening. But, if he goes badly, that's 23% of the comp who've got a bad captain. So let's hope for a little bit, and maybe we can get some climbing done this week and get into the top 10K, because that would be nice. But anyway, hopefully your week is going good. Hopefully you've missed some of the bad scores this week. Hopefully your captain's locked in. If not, good luck for tomorrow. And we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.